In today's world, the dating landscape has shifted in a way that many men struggle to fully understand. What once used to be a natural unfolding of attraction between two people has now become a performance. A carefully engineered script where men are expected to play the role of the pursuer and women the prize. This dynamic isn't just coincidence, nor is it a reflection of men losing their value or women suddenly gaining more. It's the result of cultural conditioning, social media influence, and years of narratives reinforcing the same message. Men chase, women choose. From an early age, women are told that their beauty is their greatest asset, that their worth lies in how much attention they can attract, and that their validation comes not from what they give, but from what they receive. This conditioning builds an environment where women don't need to actively invest in a connection, they can simply wait. Let men circle around them and enjoy the benefits of pursuit without effort. The chase itself has been glorified. Movies, TV shows, and music all promote the idea of the persistent man who refuses to give up, eventually winning the girl, as if his endless effort was proof of true love. On the surface it sounds romantic, but underneath it's a tool of control. The chase isn't about proving love. It's about keeping men in a state of uncertainty, constantly striving to earn approval. When a man chases, he becomes focused on demonstrating his worth. And in doing so, he stops asking himself whether she is truly worth his effort. The more he invests in pursuit, the less he evaluates her character, her values, or her intentions. She doesn't have to give much at all. His chasing keeps him distracted and blinded. This creates a power imbalance. By default, the person who is doing the chasing is the one with less control. He is reacting, adjusting, and performing, while she is sitting in the position of power, deciding whether or not to reward him with her time or attention. This imbalance is not natural. It's manufactured. It has been reinforced so many times that both men and women now accept it as normal. Yet when you peel it back, it is clear manipulation. By keeping men in pursuit mode, women can withhold consistency, effort, or loyalty, knowing that the man is already conditioned to work harder than she ever has to. This dynamic shifts relationships away from genuine connection and mutual testing of compatibility into something closer to a one-sided audition. The result is that many men today confuse effort with value. They believe that the more they chase, the more they prove their love, when in reality, the more they chase, the more they diminish their own worth. Because the chase is not a partnership, it's a game. And it's a game designed to favor the one who is being pursued. For women, it costs nothing but delivers everything: attention, validation, power, and control. For men, it costs time, energy, money, and self-respect, often ending in disappointment. This illusion of the chase has become the foundation of modern dating, but it is an illusion nonetheless. The truth is that love doesn't require endless pursuit. Respect does. And the man who begins to see through this illusion takes the first step in reclaiming his power. The chase is a trap that many men walk into without even realizing what's happening. On the surface, it feels like the natural process of courting a woman showing interest, making an effort, and proving you're serious. But beneath the surface, the chase is not about love or connection, it's about leverage. The more a man chases, the more he hands over his power, and the more she learns that she doesn't have to invest equally. The imbalance begins the moment he decides to pursue without first demanding that she demonstrate effort in return. From that point on, he is no longer evaluating her worth, but rather performing to gain her approval. The dynamic has shifted from two people discovering compatibility to one person proving himself while the other simply judges whether he measures up. What makes the chase so dangerous is the uncertainty it creates. When a woman uses hot and cold behavior, being affectionate and engaging one moment, then distant or dismissive the next, she keeps the man in a constant state of questioning. He begins to wonder what he did wrong, what he needs to do more of, and how he can get back the warmth she gave him before. This cycle of uncertainty is intentional because it hooks him emotionally. That brief moment of warmth was never real connection. It was bait. Once hooked, he keeps investing, hoping that his next gesture compliment. or act of devotion will bring the closeness he longs for. But the rules of the game are designed so that he never truly wins. The more he does, the more she withholds. Over time, this pursuit doesn't earn him respect, it destroys it. The more a man chases, the more she interprets his actions as desperation rather than devotion. She may smile at the attention, enjoy the validation, and even exploit the benefits of his effort, but deep down she begins to see him as weak. Why? Because a man who is always available, always proving, and always begging for her attention is a man who has placed her above his own value. And when a woman senses that imbalance, she cannot respect him. Instead, she keeps him around as long as he's useful for entertainment, resources, or an ego boost, but she rarely chooses him as someone to commit. 2. The irony of the chase is that it guarantees its own failure. The very persistence that men believe will win a woman's loyalty often becomes the reason she loses interest. A man who chases endlessly becomes predictable. She knows he will always be there no matter how little she gives in return. And predictability kills attraction. What excites her is not his devotion, but the uncertainty of not fully having him. Once she knows he is trapped, she grows bored, and he is replaced by someone who gives her less and therefore feels more valuable. This trap leaves countless men exhausted and confused. They believe they did everything right. They gave attention, effort, and consistency, yet in the end, they're left empty-handed. The truth is, the chase is not a path to love, but a mechanism of control. It is a system where men pour in effort while women decide when and how to reward it. And in such a system, the man is always at a disadvantage. The longer he chases, the less power he holds. The more he gives, the less respect he earns. The chase is not proof of love. It is proof that he has surrendered his position of choice. And once he does that, the outcome is already decided. ChatGPT said. Social media has transformed the chase into something far bigger than a personal interaction between two people. In the past, a man would pursue a woman in his immediate social circle, and his effort was measured against a handful of potential rivals. Today, the chase has been magnified onto a global stage, where a single post can attract the attention of hundreds, sometimes thousands of men. With platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat, women are given instant access to validation at a scale that was unimaginable before. Every like, comment, message, or emoji is a form of pursuit, a reminder that men are constantly lining up for their attention. This creates an environment where the chase is no longer about one man proving himself, but about a crowd of men competing for scraps of recognition. The effect of this dynamic is profound. For women, attention has become a type of currency. A selfie can generate validation from dozens of men within minutes. A casual story post can trigger a wave of responses that remind her of her desirability. Even if she has no intention of engaging with these men, the very existence of the chase inflates her sense of value. In her world, men are plentiful and eager, and she doesn't need to do anything to secure this attention other than exist and present herself online. The chase then becomes an endless supply of ego boosts that costs her nothing. For the men involved, however, it costs energy, time, and often self-respect. This environment has created what can be described as the celebrity effect. A woman with an average lifestyle can experience the same kind of validation that once only belonged to movie stars or models. She can curate her image, present only the highlights of her life, and receive admiration as if she were on a stage. Men, in turn, become her audience, clapping, cheering, and vying for her attention. And just like fans chasing celebrities, most of these men will never actually be chosen. Their role is to feed the illusion of her elevated status. The chase no longer has to lead to a relationship. It is valuable to her, even if it never produces anything more than attention. What makes this dangerous for men is the way it shifts the power dynamic. When a man chases a woman who is already surrounded by endless options, he is not competing on a level playing field. He is one of many, lost in a crowd, indistinguishable from the next admirer. His effort, no matter how genuine, is diluted by the sheer volume of pursuit she receives daily. The harder he tries, the less impact it has, because in her world, there will always be another man ready to chase just as hard, if not harder. The supply of attention is infinite, but the demand she places on herself to reciprocate is non-existent. This creates a paradox where the chase is self-defeating. A man thinks his attention is special, but in reality it is one of countless notifications she receives. His good morning text blends in with dozens of others. His compliment joins a stream of flattery. And his attempts at standing out are overshadowed by the fact that she doesn't need to choose at all. She can simply enjoy the chase itself as validation. Social media has made the act of being pursued an end in itself, rather than a step toward genuine connection. The result is a marketplace where men are disadvantaged by default. They pour energy into chasing someone who is already saturated with attention, and in doing so, they lose sight of their own value. The woman gains validation without effort, while the man sacrifices his dignity for recognition that rarely comes. The chase, amplified by social media, has become less about building relationships and more about inflating egos. And until men recognize this imbalance, they will continue to play a game designed for them to lose. ChatGPT said, "The turning point in this entire dynamic comes when a man decides not to play the game at all. Refusing to chase does not mean refusing to show interest. Nor does it mean shutting down emotionally or treating women with cold indifference. What it means is stepping out of the cycle of endless proving and reclaiming the role of evaluator rather than performer. The man who breaks the script recognizes that chasing is not a demonstration of strength, but of submission. He understands that pouring effort into someone who has not yet demonstrated reciprocity only cheapens his value. By choosing to stand still instead of running in circles, he shifts the balance of power back into his hands. This choice creates a paradox that women often struggle with. They are used to men folding under pressure, increasing their attention the moment she withdraws, or bending over backwards to regain her approval. When a man does not play into this cycle, it disrupts her expectations. Instead of being predictable, he becomes mysterious. Instead of being one more admirer competing for her time, he becomes the exception who doesn't follow the script. That difference alone sparks curiosity. She begins to ask herself why he is not chasing like the others, what makes him so certain in his own value, and whether she is missing something by not investing more herself. It is this uncertainty that ignites genuine attraction. Women may claim they want romance, flowers, constant reassurance, and endless pursuit. But what truly captures their interest is the man who cannot be fully possessed. The man who stands firm in his mission, who prioritizes his growth, and who refuses to collapse his world around her, forces her to step into a position she is not accustomed to, one where she has to earn his attention. For the first time, she feels the pressure of proving herself. And while she may resist it at first, deep down, she respects it more than any chase she has ever received. Breaking the script does not mean playing games or pretending to be disinterested. It is about operating from strength instead of insecurity. A man who knows his worth does not hand it out cheaply. Every message, call, and act of effort is an investment, and investments must be reserved for those who demonstrate equal value. This mindset forces women to rise to the standard rather than manipulate it. She learns quickly that she cannot control him with silence, with breadcrumbs, or with the illusion of scarcity. His attention is not something she can demand, it is something she must earn. This reversal changes everything. Instead of him constantly auditioning for her approval, she begins to wonder if she is living up to his. Instead of him carrying all the emotional weight of pursuit, she begins to share it. And instead of a one-sided game of control, the interaction starts to resemble something balanced. By refusing to chase, the man doesn't just protect his dignity, he redefines the entire dynamic. He teaches her, perhaps without saying a word, that relationships are not built on manipulation, but on mutual effort. And in doing so, he becomes unforgettable, not because he gave her everything, but because he demanded balance. When a man finally stops chasing, everything changes. The moment he withdraws his endless pursuit, the illusion of the game collapses. The silence that replaces his constant attention forces the woman to reveal her true intentions. If she was only there for the ego boost, For the validation and entertainment of being pursued, she will disappear quickly. She won't fight for him because she never planned to invest in the first place. And while this may sting in the moment, it is actually a blessing. Her departure saves him from wasting months or even years of energy on someone who was never truly interested. On the other hand, if there is genuine attraction and real potential, his refusal to chase forces her to step up. She begins to reach out, to invest, to show effort because the dynamic has shifted. For the first time, she has to prove her worth rather than simply being the prize waiting to be won. This is where power returns to the man. Instead of being the one constantly evaluated, he becomes the evaluator. Instead of being the contestant in a game designed to test his endurance, he becomes the judge of whether she has what it takes to stand beside him. This role reversal is not about arrogance or dominance. It is about balance. Relationships only thrive when both people contribute, when effort flows in both directions. By refusing to chase, the man reestablishes this truth. He makes it clear that his time, energy, and presence are valuable, and he will not squander them on someone unwilling to reciprocate. The impact of this decision goes beyond dating. A man who stops chasing begins to redirect his energy into himself. Instead of sending endless texts or planning elaborate gestures to win approval, he invests that same time into his purpose, his goals, and his vision. This not only makes him stronger and more fulfilled as an individual, but it also makes him far more attractive. Women instinctively respect a man who is consumed by his mission because he represents stability and direction. He is not easily swayed, not desperate, and not defined by her approval. Ironically, this is the type of man women end up chasing. It's precisely because he cannot be controlled by cheap manipulation. The beauty of refusing to chase is that it exposes truth. It separates the pretenders from the contenders. It forces women to reflect on their own value and ask themselves whether they are bringing enough to the table. Most men never give women the chance to feel this discomfort because they are too busy performing. But the man who doesn't chase makes her face it directly. And in that space of uncertainty, desire grows. She wonders what makes him different, why he isn't like the others. It's what she must do to gain his approval. In the end, the refusal to chase is not about rejecting women. It is about rejecting manipulation. It is about drawing a line that says respect must be mutual or there is no relationship at all. The man who understands this never sacrifices his dignity for breadcrumbs of attention. He attracts rather than begs, evaluates rather than performs, and demands balance instead of surrendering to games. In a world where most men exhaust themselves trying to prove their worth, the man who doesn't chase stands out as unforgettable. He wins not by playing harder, but by refusing to play. That is the true victory, and it is the foundation of respect, loyalty, and lasting connection.